So you only have to look around this room to see how much and how quickly the payments industry in Canada is changing. Some of us have been attending summits like these for many years, but there are many among us who are here for the first time or have only been involved in the payment sphere for a short time. Some of you represent organizations that many would call legacy players. And although, as I'll explain shortly, that is not a term I like to use, but others of you are from fintechs or early stage disruptors or startups. We all hold something in common. This dramatic transformation of the payments industry, driven in large part by the mobile and digital revolution, can also be seen in the wide range of topics that we see here at this summit. I have been at many of these summits, and it's just incredible. Just today, the summit has looked at things like payments and modernization, new payment technologies, data-rich payments, open API trends, and real-time payments. Tomorrow and Friday will include such things as biometrics and digital ID and fintech innovation, and we just heard about AI and its applicability to our industry. It actually reminds me of something the Task Force for the Payment Systems Review wrote in December 2011 in its report, Moving Canada into the Digital Age. And I quote, "The emerging payment system will be characterized by rapid, discontinuous change, making it impossible to predict the future of payments in general and where friction may occur." Everything that has happened since then, and which continues to happen today, shows just how correct the task force was with that assessment. What used to be a fairly sedate and predictable industry is now anything but. Like so many others affected by the digital revolution, the payments industry is contending with a seemingly endless introduction of technologies and capabilities. There's no question that change is accelerating. Without a doubt it is. But here's the question. Does change actually happen at the speed with which new technologies and capabilities emerge? Now, most of us are familiar with Moore's Law. It's been validated in the technology industry for over 50 years. Or Metcalfe's Law of the network effect. That's at the very heart of our payments industry. But who here is familiar with Martek's Law? Martek's Law says that while technology changes rapidly at an exponential rate, individuals and organizations change more slowly at a logarithmic rate. The result is a widening gap and intense tension between the two. What it means, though, is that to truly drive innovation, we don't simply need to come up with new experiences enabled by technological advancements. We actually need to find ways to meet individuals and organizations where they are today and help bridge them to these new solutions. It's this ability to bridge from the old to the new that I find tremendously exciting. And it is why I am so in favor of bringing together the best attributes of the established participants in payments with the creativity of new and emerging players to create the best possible solutions for consumers and businesses alike today. Now, sometimes this is referred to as co-opetition. I'm telling you, it is a very powerful force in our industry today, and that when it is embraced, it can generate truly exciting advancement and much more rapid adoption than we have seen of some of these technologies so far. We need to discourage any of the us versus them or new versus old way of thinking that, frankly, too many conveniently hold today in our payments industry. This isn't fintech versus legacy. Many of my best friends are in the fintech and disruptor industry, and they know that new entrants and emerging disruptors, they don't hold a monopoly on new ideas or innovative thinking. Particularly when you're talking about a regulated industry that involves the secure and reliable movement of money while safeguarding the private information of all those who use the system? The fact is, we need to work together if we are going to effectively and responsibly bring customers with us into the digital age. Because so-called legacy players, they can and do innovate. They adapt, they evolve, and they transform. When you think of Visa, a MasterCard, and many of you might think of Interac as a legacy player. I, of course, I prefer the word established. But call us what you will, we have certainly shown that existing players are capable of innovating and actually leading the way in this changing environment. So whether it's rolling out contactless payments technology like Interac Flash almost a decade ago now, or mobile wallet technologies like Interac Debit on Apple Pay or our TSP, we are certainly evolving payments at the point of sale. And let's not forget, here in Canada, we were world leaders in changing the way consumers make person-to-person payments long before it was trendy with Interac e-Transfer. And now we're doing the same for businesses with the growth of Interac e-Transfer bulk disbursements. So a lot of what we all do is leading, new, and world-class on many levels. And I put it to you, that's hardly legacy. But we've also been around long enough to know that we don't have all the answers. As the pace of technology change accelerates, and as Canadian consumers and businesses demand digital payments that are always on, increasingly mobile and instant and fully functional across any device and any platform, it is clear that no single entity can solve for everything. Just consider some of the ways we may be paying for things in the very near future. Our connected cars will integrate payment into their onboard systems through IoT, so you'll be able to fuel up at a gas station or at an electric recharging port, or get your coffee at a drive-thru and pay for it automatically, just using your voice or another biometric identifier. As you load up your shopping cart in a store, payment for your items will be done automatically, so you don't even have to stop off at the self-checkout before leaving the store. Or you'll purchase produce at a farmer's market or a meal at a restaurant by simply sending a money transfer via text message to the small business owner. The possibilities are quite literally endless. But no one can predict everything that is going to happen, or what technologies will exist, or even who the players are going to be. Again, look around this room. How many could have predicted, even a few years ago, that some of you, maybe, and your organizations would be a central part of Canada's payment system in 2017? And who can predict who will be a part of it and who won't in 2020 or 2025? There's one thing, however, that is clear. We cannot solely rely on the payments ecosystem of the past as new technologies, applications, and stakeholder expectations emerge. We cannot expect that yesterday's business models will carry us into the future. We need to create national and international payment systems with unifying structures to truly fulfill their potential in making the transfer of money almost frictionless and become a real accelerator of commercial activity. And the way to get there, and its Interac's strategy going forward, is through co-opetition, because no one can do this alone. We need to partner and cooperate to pool the best thinking of our industry and the unique assets that each of us bring if we're going to make the fastest progress possible. Established players need the energy and ideas of startups who are unencumbered by old technology, old views, and old ways of doing things. New entrants, on the other hand, need relationships and the deep trust that established players can bring, built over decades of delivering on promises, to encourage consumers and businesses to take a risk on these new solutions. And everyone in payments needs the ubiquity that existing networks can bring with all endpoints. Now, this interdependency certainly creates a certain fluidity to conducting business. Someone you might have considered a competitor in the past will now be your partner on some aspects of your business. Just look at the recent business deals between Visa and PayPal, Apple and IBM, TD and Movin, or CIBC and Borrowell. At one time, these would have been considered strange bedfellows indeed, but each smartly see value-added capability in the core competencies or channel capabilities of the other. Because the whole definition of competition in our industry is changing. In an environment, I think we all agree, where customer experience is the new battlefield, your competition isn't just the company across the street. It's often your customer's last best experience, period. Now, I spoke a few minutes ago about how Interac has evolved over its 30 years of existence and introduced innovative new products and services to keep up with this changing payments environment and lead in many areas. Central to this certainly has been our extremely popular e-transfer platform. This platform offers a combination of immediacy, widespread acceptance, convenience, and world-class security, all from a well-known brand that Canadians trust. And while it's well into its adolescent years, as I call them, the service has grown on average almost 50% annually for the past 5 years running. Now, you'd think that with all this going for it, we'd be anxious to keep the platform to ourselves to maintain our competitive advantage. That is legacy thinking. Closed platforms will be the roadside litter of the payment systems of the future, period. We firmly believe in our strategy that by opening up our platforms and services to third-party developers, we can help spur the creation of innovative new offerings, create a fresh stream of innovation in our product suite, and boost the growth of Canada's financial technology ecosystem. Just last month, we began an open API initiative to allow third-party developers to connect their applications to our platforms and services. In conjunction with Communitech, we had a collision day in Kitchener-Waterloo with several SmartUp and SME companies to hear their ideas for building on our API to streamline requesting and receiving money online. Now, I have to say, we heard some pretty inventive ideas from all the participants, but we're now providing an initial cash injection and mentoring to the developers of the 3 best ideas so they can create a prototype of their concept with our platform. Now, for some in the industry, the idea of collaborating, the idea of IP with others, especially potential disruptors, is a very difficult concept. I understand that. It was part of our history, too. They prefer to protect their domain with closed systems in which a single vendor controls the design and features of products and services and tries to deliver the whole stack. Our environment, our industry is much too complex for that now and going forward, because when it comes to creating a dynamic payment system that can anticipate and meet the needs of all stakeholders, as I highlighted earlier, our strategy comes down strongly on the side of openness. That's why we are now working closely with others, both big, well-established players and small, early-stage disruptors. Our goal is to continue to serve new use cases and remove friction while meeting all security, privacy, and regulation requirements. By doing so, we believe we're helping the market and those consumers I mentioned in Martech's law to navigate through the challenges and confusion of the evolving marketplace and making these new technologies more trusted and more accessible. But for this to be truly effective, and our strategy to work, we operate now within a 5-principle set that guides our entire approach to payments going forward. We look at new technologies, new partnerships, and new opportunities through this lens. First, we believe that a good funds model in which a payer's funds are immediately removed from their account, making a payment or transfer irrevocable, is the better model. This model improves cash flow for individuals, reduces the working capital required by financial institutions and organizations, and promotes commerce by reducing the trust that is necessary between the parties who have never done business before. Second, we believe ubiquity should be a payment network's natural destination. It's a fact that digital payment systems create the most value when they connect all individuals and all businesses to one another, allowing anyone to make payments or transfer money to anyone else. A widely available and accepted payments network, like the one we operate, minimizes the friction involved in using or transferring money, whereas a multi-network payment system with inter-network interfaces, differing protocols, and opacity or the incompleteness of transaction and customer data increases friction, limits trust, and slows money movement. Our third guiding principle is that data abstraction improves individual privacy and security. We all know, and there's many tracks at this summit, that identity theft and privacy are a major concern in our industry for consumers and for any organization that collects and stores private information about their customers and users. For us, the more data abstraction in the payment system, the better. That's why we designed our platforms to use tokens and unique but reasonably public identifiers, such as a payee's email address or mobile phone number, rather than their bank transit and account number to complete a digital payment or a money transaction. Our fourth guiding principle is to embrace global standards. We incorporate the latest technology and payment standards into our systems, such as REST and ISO 20022, as well as examining potential support for things like the W3C Open Payments Initiative. Yet, here's the rub, and it gets back to Martech's law. We do so in a message-agnostic way so that we can support customers who have already made the transition to new standards, such as ISO 20022, as well as those who have not. We provide and feel it is our responsibility to bridge between old and new, enabling customers to transact easily regardless of where their organization or FI may be on that logarithmic organizational change curve I mentioned at the outset. Finally, our last guiding principle is also one I referred to earlier, and that is our belief that openness offers a more robust and innovation-encouraging way to proceed than closed products and platforms. And it's important to note that openness includes providing a layer of shared services at the network level that allow valuable resources to be accessed by all and can leverage pooled data rather than just siloed data. It also, of course, includes our API initiative, which we believe will spur the creation of innovative new offerings and customer experiences that will boost the growth of our domestic technology ecosystem, and we can all continue to lead the world in many respects. This openness is foundational to co-opetition, and it creates a better balance between risk and reward for all players. Back to Martech's law, this can help bridge individuals and organizations to new solutions more quickly and more painlessly. I firmly believe that there's more reward to be gained together than there is alone, with risks being shared and more easily managed. So in closing, I know you can taste those beers and wines, but this is incredibly important that I must say I could not agree more with what Jerry Gates said last June in Calgary when the Canadian Payments Association became Payments Canada. And I quote, "We are an ecosystem. We must connect, collaborate, and compete to innovate. None of us can predict the future, but we can enable it. And the best way for all of us in the payment system to enable a creative and innovative future is to connect, to collaborate, and to compete. In other words, we can enable the future through co-opetition. So let's do it. And thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference, and cheers if I don't speak.